This dog is
Okay.
not stopping.
Well, let's just start this recording then and see how it goes.
Oh, okay. Oh, it
So,
stopped.
oh
Okay.
goodness. So, hi Jess.
Hi.
And hi guys. We are experiencing so many recording issues tonight, but we're just gonna mission through this and see how it goes.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of background noise, especially from the neighbor's dogs again. And I just realized because I moved slightly forward, but my chair is incredibly creaky.
Um,
So I have to stay dead still right now.
Me too. I'm recording downstairs so that I'm sitting next to the router because last week's recording was my side was very bad. Um, so so guys, please just stick with us. We are looking into better ways of recording, but this is like a just like a passion project of ours. We don't really have funds at the moment to pump into this thing, but we're willing to push through and really try and make this work. On that note, actually, I don't even know if I told you, Jess. I started a Patreon for us.
You briefly mentioned it, yes.
So we are on Patreon. Um, we're under Dead Curious, and the branding and the logo is all the same. And you'll be able to find our little Curious Clan tier there for $2 a month if you want to help support us and watch us grow. We'd seriously appreciate that. And then obviously you will be getting things like bonus episodes, exclusive content, and one day maybe when we get into merchandising, maybe there will be a couple of benefits there. Who knows? Who knows where this thing can go?
Yes, hopefully it's nothing that big because we already have some very cute ideas for um,
We had, sorry, continue. Let me not interrupt you.
merchandise. I'm done.
Motion, what's that?
Merch
What's a
was the word.
I thought you said, I thought you said merch. I thought you said motion dice. It's
It's
like dice that
d yeah, dice
automatically
that throws
rolls for you.
itself. Yeah.
I was like, wow, you can do that.
Well, let's try. Let's try.
So
No promises.
we had a t-shirt design request already.
And
Did I
what
tell you
was
about
that request?
that? Kids are dicks.
Sorry, Mum, but that's what the people want.
Yes, apparently our mother dearest didn't didn't like the fact that um we compared children to phalluses. And I'm sorry, Mom. I didn't mean to offend you. But it is true. People want it on a t-shirt. I'm afraid that that's gonna stay. Love you lots. We had such a big week this week. We're now available on Apple Podcasts, which is great for us. It's brought us in some guys from the Netherlands, and we have some listeners in the USA as well. Sup, USA? What's up, Netherlands? Love you guys.
Yeah, that's I can't think of the word now. My mind has gone blank. Mind blowing. Like I physically squealed. I actually made a squealing sound and like my legs did that kicking thing. I was so excited. I just don't know how to express it in words right now because it's late.
Like we said, guys, we're having crazy bad recording issues. So we'll try and pick them up as we go. But we do not want it to stop us from putting out an episode once a week. So we'll mission through this together. Oh, by the way, what do you think of the name Curious Clan? It's a bit gimmicky, but that's kind of why I like it.
if you like it, leave a comment, or if you have a suggestion about a name, leave a comment or something like that.
We are on Instagram at Dead Curious, and we're on Facebook, also Dead Curious. We have an email as well. It's deadcuriouspod, P-O-D for podcast, deadcuriouspod@gmail.com. We would love to hear from the people who are listening.
If you have experienced anything paranormal yourself, you are more than welcome to send those stories to us as well.
We would love to do an episode with a couple of listener stories.
Yeah.
I think that about covers everything from the admin side of things.
I agree. So, I think we should just get into our topic for today.
Yes, haunted places. Woo!
Yes, so we're doing another episode on haunted places, and I'm going first this time.
Yes.
All right, so I'm going to tell you about a place from our home city, which is Port Elizabeth. And this is a building that I used to pass almost every single day for the last 4 years on my way to university.
And I used to party in it, and I used to work across the road from it.
This is a building that we are both quite familiar with, and it's called the Richley House. And it was previously called Langford Lodge. I think that's when it was first built. It was called Langford or Langford Lodge. And this is supposedly the most haunted house in Port Elizabeth, although we all know that when people know that their building is haunted and they are willing to promote it, they will say that they have the most haunted building. So everybody's saying that.
Yeah. That is
so who knows if it really is.
Fair point.
This house or this building was built in 1906 by a man named William James Wills. So it's been around for a very, very long time. The Richley House had been used for many, many different purposes over the last 100+ years. It was once a general nursing home and maternity home, nursing and maternity home. It was then a brothel during World War II.
Did not know that.
Mm-hmm. Right, that was interesting. And it was also a post-war boarding house after that. But more recently, it's been used as a bar or pub. A few years ago, it was called, I think it was Champions Sports Bar. And today, Port Elizabethans will know it as Brazen Head.
That's what I know it as.
Which is now, yeah, and it's now permanently closed.
What?
Yes, that's what it says on their website.
I didn't know that.
So, bruh, it's been closed for a long time.
Are you for real?
Like before Corona. Yeah.
It just goes to show I don't get out. Like, I don't get out at all. This is like one of my favorite hangouts.
Oh, really?
Oh, you know,
I've never been there.
oh yeah, yes, you would have been a bit young to go. I mean, it was like it's a bar, but it was like a party bar, Virgin on Club sort deal. So I don't think it would have. I don't think you would have been the right age to really enjoy it back then. But it is kind of weird that there's club music and drinks and parties and like people making out in like a really, really old house. Like they had like the original stairs and everything. It was proper old. It was beautiful, but yeah, I think it actually is kind of cozy. Like,
Mm.
it would be so creepy if it wasn't packed full of people and strobe lights and stuff, but that's a different thing.
Um, but yeah, let's get on to the spooky part of the story. So there
Yes.
are quite a few spirits that are regularly seen in the building, and these spirits include a nun who is accompanied
Okay.
by the cries of an unseen baby. Awful.
Sorry, you broke up there. So it's a nun and there's an unseen baby.
Yes. So when they see the nun, her
Yeah.
presence is accompanied by the cries of an unseen baby.
Ew.
Right? That's
Ew.
just gross.
I hate baby stuff. It's too creepy.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And there is also a woman and a child that are often seen in the hallway, and they are dressed in period clothing. So, I'm guessing that the nun and the baby, as well as this woman and child, are possibly spirits from the time when this building was used as a nursing and maternity home. For me,
Yeah.
a kid and a baby and like that clothing wouldn't make sense unless they were from that time, because I think that was one of the first uses of the building. So that would have been like close to 100 years ago. There is also a grumpy man that is dressed in a grey coat, and he usually storms through the dining room through to the kitchen area where he rattles and bangs on pots and pans out of an unknown frustration. So he seems to be really irritated with whatever is happening or whatever happened to him in the past. And he's just like making a huge noise and causing nonsense in the kitchen. Now,
Hmm.
these spirits that I have just mentioned now seem to be more of a residual type of haunting, because they don't seem to be that concerned with the people around them. They're kind of just doing their
Okay.
thing. But there is one other spirit that appears in the domestic quarters. In the research I've done, they say domestic quarters. I'm assuming that would be like the staff room or something like that. And
Hmm.
apparently, this spirit tries to strangle the staff members.
Oh my word.
This one is definitely interacting with people and is very aware of what it's doing.
Oh my word.
Uh-huh. Now, because of course this building is like over 100 years old, it's impossible to find records of who these people are
Hmm.
supposed to be. But I did happen to find a video on YouTube by Urban Paranormal Exploration Discoveries. And they did
That
an
is such a
investigation.
long name.
I know, right? But anyway, they did an investigation when it was still called Champions. They did like the typical investigation thing where they go from room to room in the dark with their different types of ghost hunting equipment. Actually, all right, so they didn't use the normal equipment that paranormal investigators usually use.
Okay.
They actually use their phones for everything. So if you watch the video, you can see like they're actually recording the video with, and they're using like ghost hunting apps on their phone, which I'm not a fan of. But
Yeah.
I don't know. They did capture some stuff, so I'll
Okay.
I'll tell you how it went, and you can like give me your opinions of it.
Okay,
All
let's
right.
hear it.
So while they were doing their investigation, they were able to capture some EVPs, but not in the same way as the ones that you got in your story last week. So
Okay.
the EVP device or app that they used does not capture the actual voice of the spirit. So, all right. So what it does is that it it gets EVPs, or it picks up whatever the spirit is saying that we cannot hear, and the word is
Mm.
then displayed on the screen.
I've seen it. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Now, I have seen actual devices that do that, like display the word, but it's the first time I've seen it on a cell phone. I don't know. I'm just not as
Mm.
likely to believe a cell phone app to like an actual device. But anyway, whatever. They did catch some stuff. So the first room that they went to was kind of like a small dining room looking area. And they started their EVP session in there. And the first app that they used was like, it was kind of like an EMF sensor or electromagnetic field sensor mixed with a
Okay.
spirit box. So
Okay.
instead of playing radio frequencies, this spirit box played static. So it's not like you can pick up
Ew.
words from the radio frequencies, you know? So it's just playing static.
Mm.
So any words they pick up would have to be from, I don't know, somewhere in the room, I'm guessing.
Okay.
All right, so this app is able to detect changes in energy in the room as well as pick up EVPs. So how it works is that when the app or whatever senses changes in energy in the room, it will make like a loud beeping sound. Kind of like, I guess you could say
A
when a
me
spirit is getting closer, it like starts to beep louder.
like a metal detector, but for ghosts.
Yeah, exactly. So
Okay.
that's when they start asking their questions. And of course, they like ask the typical questions like, are there any spirits here who want to communicate and what? And eventually they got a response. And the response they got was the name Alyssa.
Okay.
hmm And then after that, they were asking a few more questions, trying to get any sort of response. And there was no response for a while until they eventually got the word peace. But it was spelled Piece, like a piece of cake or a piece of something.
Oh.
So they were trying to like ask questions like, a piece of what? Do you want a piece of me? Do you want a piece of the other guy? Like, I don't know. I don't know the
Wow.
logic behind that question, but anyway. While I was watching the video, I was kind of thinking maybe she meant peace, like the feeling of peace, Peace.
Hmm.
And then eventually
Hmm.
they came to the same conclusion, like maybe she meant that she's at peace or something like
Or
that.
maybe she wants peace and she's not at peace.
Maybe. Um, I think they did point that out. She's either not at peace or maybe she's I don't know. Um, but yeah, they after that there weren't any other responses, so they kind of just decided to move on and not waste any more time in that room. And I did try to look and see if I could find any connection of an Alyssa with the building, but as I said before, it was a really long time ago, so I couldn't find any names. But that was the only name that they were able to get during their investigation. So
Hmm.
the next room that they went into was the area where the spirit that tries to strangle the staff members resides.
Phew.
So
Okay.
this room got quite a few responses on the EVP app that they were using.
Oh boy, I
Like
bet.
they were able to have like a mini conversation of sorts, but they only got like one word responses. So they didn't get
Okay.
full sentences or like, you know, explanations of anything, but the responses were actually pretty accurate, um, according to the
Oh,
questions that they asked. So
yeah.
it's not like that one BuzzFeed episode where they asked something and like the ghost said spaghetti or whatever. Like it actually made
Apple
sense.
tater.
Apple taters,
Apple
yes.
potatoes.
Yeah, no food was mentioned in here. So yeah, it was like it was fairly accurate and like the answers kind of made sense.
Okay.
But anyways, they used a different app for this one.
Mm.
It had a similar way of picking up EVP, so the words were displayed on the screen, but instead of static, this one did play radio frequencies.
Okay.
Now, the problem with this one is my hearing is kind of rubbish, so I couldn't actually hear the questions they were asking, because they have the phone really close to the camera, so you can see the words that
Uh,
pop up. So the radio frequencies kind of drowned out the guys' voices. But the first three responses that they got were the words finish, years, and soul.
oh my word.
So make of that what you will, but that sounds a little bit dodgy and scary to me.
Sounds quite ominous.
Yeah, especially from something that's like strangling people. But
Hmm.
anyway, when the guy asked if this is the spirit that likes to assault the staff, they almost immediately got the word yes on the screen.
What?
Uh-huh. Um,
Ew.
yes. That man, I know it's terrifying, but like that I was so excited when that happened because I was like, yes, that makes
Oh,
sense. That's
yeah.
a reasonable response.
But Jess, we're clearly not okay in the head. I mean, why are we even talking about this? To the
That's
point that we
true.
made a podcast.
That is correct.
No, but in all seriousness, there is just something um so fascinating about it. You can't
Mm,
help but be curious. Dead
dead
curious.
curious.
Dead. Oh my gosh.
Again, I couldn't hear what they were asking or what they were saying, but they got the word gone. And then they asked if there was anything that the spirit wants them to do, and it responded with the word stop. So they took that as a sign that the spirit wants them to stop the EVP session and leave the room. And they
Okay.
did say that they could like feel bumps or something. I think they said there were like thumps or something on the floor. But
Okay.
I think what there wasn't supposed to be any room underneath them, so they don't know where the bumping was coming from. Um, but yeah, they did say that there were people like in the surrounding area, so it could have been
Mm,
from someone else, who knows. But yeah,
mm.
they decided to stop the session and move on. And then in the final room that they were in, they were able to pick up some more responses, but this time in full sentences. But they
Okay.
asked, is anybody here with us? And the ghost or spirit responded with, Mom, I'm at home.
Oh no.
And I think at this point they assumed that it was Alyssa. They addressed the spirit as Alyssa. And they asked if she's missing her mother. And she responded, it's with the word dark.
No.
Hmm? And
No.
so I'm wondering if this is like the little girl spirit that they see walking through the hallway. But anyway, they asked her if she's scared of the presence in the other room, and the response was two, the number two. So they were thinking, like, are there two spirits in that other room? The one with the presence that strangles people? are there two spirits in the building? They're trying to get more information from her, but there's no response on that. At some point,
Mm.
I couldn't hear what the question was, but at one point they got the response, I'm still alive.
Oh no.
Uh-huh. So
Oh
I think
no.
one of them mentions that perhaps she's like trapped between our world and the afterlife or something.
Oh no.
Uh-huh. So that kind of made me feel really sad. Um, yeah,
I am so sad
yeah.
right now.
Especially if it's the little girl
And
ghost. I don't want the little girl to be trapped.
oh no.
But she did respond with something else. I didn't add that one in here because it doesn't really make much sense because, again, my hearing is so bad and I couldn't hear the question. But I think she said something like, we have a beautiful, and then the sentence ends there. So it's only like half a sentence. So I don't know,
Okay.
people need to go and watch the video and see if they can hear the question because I don't know how to explain that. And then finally, towards the end of the EVP session, they asked her if there's anything else she wants to say. It's, her last chance to tell her story or let us know who she is. And
Mm.
the response was no. So they
Okay.
ended it there, and that was the end of their investigation. So
Wow.
yeah, that is the end of the Richley house.
Okay, first of all, that's so intense. It went from creepy to petrifying to really sad.
Sorry.
Okay, I want to go back to this freaking strangling ghost.
Mhm.
Like, so so staff would go to this room, and it's in only in this one room that they would feel strangled.
Correct.
Oh my word.
Yep. It's quite rude.
Would you stay working at a place if you got strangled by like an unseen force?
It it depends on if the job is worth it and like if you get paid enough and also how badly I
Yeah.
needed the money. And then I was saying like if you're working at a pub or a bar or something, you're probably definitely not getting paid enough to stay at a place where you get choked by a ghost.
Mm.
So in this situation, no. But I mean, like, if I had someone go into the room with me and, like, I don't know, could maybe help me if I was attacked by something, then maybe I would stay. But I don't know. I don't know. In this situation, for me, it's not worth it.
It really sucks that the record keeping is so bad. And I know it's so bad because my story is from the same period. You were in 1906, hey?
Yes.
Is when that building was built. Yeah, mine was 2 years before
Oh,
that.
wow.
And I experienced the same problem. I had to do so much digging and so much research because people just did not keep records of like deaths and stuff the way we do now. Like, sure, there would be a record of death, like a death certificate or something,
Hmm.
but it wasn't really put in our media.
Hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. That's why I actually think here I'm being all sociological and stuff, but like I actually think it's quite interesting the culture of like this morbid fascination people are experiencing these days. I kind of feel like South Africa as a society, like as a culture, I feel like we're a bit behind on that like macabre interest. So, what stood out to me about your story, besides the fact that there's a mixture of what I would say intelligent hauntings, residual hauntings, and uh, a harmful spirit. I can't think of the word now, but I'm actually wondering if that one that strangles people, would that not be leaning more towards like a demonic entity? Like, isn't it that ghosts don't harm you or necessarily interact with you, but demonic forces can?
I mean, it's quite possible. When I hear something like that, I definitely lean towards a more demonic thing. Um,
Mm,
I mean, look, something like strangling is definitely like with the intent to do serious harm or to potentially kill a person. I think if a
yeah.
ghost is going to try and harm you, it would do something like, I don't know, like something similar to a prank, like slam a door in your face or, I don't know, throw something at you.
Even like they say that angry man that hits the pots and pans, um, if you don't actually physically see the form doing it, it might just be poltergeist activity, which sometimes isn't even apparently like this is all speculation, obviously, but
Mhm.
my understanding is that poltergeist activity is more linked to energy that's left in a place. So it's like if there's a lot of emotion and stuff, like it would have been, if you look at the history, that used to be
Mm.
there for prostitutes, for mothers, for men coming back from a hostel, for men coming back at war. I mean, that place would be ripe with energy. So it's very possible that the old dude is just poltergeist. Maybe there is some residual, but that strangling's concerning. And if I had known that before, I wouldn't have gone partying there.
Yeah, I'm glad I've never been there because, yeah, I don't know, I think we kind of, because of all of the stuff we've experienced personally, I think we kind of more open to things, experiences and stuff.
You're
So,
only as open as you allow. I didn't, I mean, okay, look, I was experiencing some spirits while I was there. Not the spirits of which you speaking, but more of like the vodka kind. But I had a good time.
that's
And
good.
yeah, going through to the bathrooms, there was like a crazy cold spot there, which kind of at the time I didn't know that the place was known to be haunted, which I did find a bit odd because the passages are tiny, like they such small passages. Like the rooms are big, but the passage is literally like on the side of the upstairs. You know how passages usually go through the middle of a house?
Mm-hmm.
Like the staircase goes up against the side, and then the hallways on the side of the building, and then the rooms are built in.
Mm,
And my goodness, it's got those old wooden floors, so you can hear every step,
yeah,
which I'd imagine is quite creepy if you're there alone.
yeah. I just want to go back to what you said about the old man or the grumpy guy
Mm,
being like a poltergeist sort of energy.
maybe,
I
yeah.
It could be, but I don't think so. I think they do
Okay.
physically see the guy because I mean they like
Mm,
to describe his appearance. You know,
okay.
they describe what he's wearing. They said a grey coat and that he storms through the, well, was it the dining area into the kitchen? So I think they actually physically see him get up and move.
Okay.
So I don't know. And
But
I mean
very interesting.
they say that they see a nun. I mean you won't say, "Oh, I felt the presence of a nun." You won't know unless you see the
I
clothing.
don't know. I think nuns have a presence.
Yeah.
You know, Jax doesn't like every year I've wanted to dress as a scary nun and he just won't have it. Like he says that it's just too creepy for him.
Oh, he should not watch The Conjuring 2 then. He
I
won't
really
like
want
that.
to.
I'll
And then
watch
I
it with
said,
you.
okay, oh, let's do it. As soon as we can start catering again together, then we must do it.
Okay.
But I offered to dress as a sexy nun, and he said, no, but that's wrong.
I mean, yeah, Roxanne, it's not okay.
Anyway, I want to tell my story now.
uh, please do. I would love to know because I don't actually know what place you're doing, do I? You didn't tell me.
When you said you were doing a haunted place, I was like, okay, I'm going to do a haunted place, and I'm going to do one of my favorite kind of hauntings, which maybe some people picked up in the previous episode. I'm really into haunted hotels. So I'm doing the Glencairn Hotel. So
I've never heard of it.
the Glencairn Hotel is actually in this little seaside town in the Western Cape, in Simonstown. So that's why you wouldn't have heard of it. It's actually quite a nice little, it's like a nice little fisherman town type thing where people, they generally go there on like holiday to get out of the cities and stuff. So it's this lovely little town, and the Glencairn Hotel is in the suburb Glencairn. Now, the Glencairn community is said to have begun over 100 years ago with the opening of the church and this specific hotel, which was built by the early Dutch and British settlers in 1904. So just 2 years before your story. And like you said, any place that admits to be haunted make the claim that they're the most haunted. But this isn't the most haunted hotel in South Africa. No, no, no. It is rumored to be one of the most haunted sites in the Southern Peninsula. Boom. More haunted
Um,
than you.
let's go there.
Or we can. So,
Okay, cool.
it is rumored to be one of the most haunted sites in the Southern Peninsula, and it's known for its two resident ghosts. The first one is a dark-haired woman dressed in a white gown, often holding a candle, and a little boy.
Of course.
But the story of how these two ghosts came to be is a rather sad one. A lady by the name of Mrs. Renee Scott lived in the hotel when it was first opened with her son David Scott and her husband Robert Scott, who was the hotel chef at the time. One night, Robert caught Renee in bed with another man. When confronting his wife about the affair in room 6, in a fit of rage, Robert threw his wife down the stairs, killing her. And soon
Ooh.
after, their son David, age 5, met the same fate.
Um, okay. Yeah, okay. So I'm getting why he was upset with the wife, but what exactly, why would he push the kid down the stairs? Was it just because he was angry and the kid was there, or like,
I don't know. Like we discussed, this was in the early 1900s, and our media coverage back then was not too great. So
true.
it's unclear what became of Robert, but Renee and David never left the hotel and have reminded guests and staff of their presence there ever since. It's often been reported that a woman appears in mirrors in various rooms of the hotel, and a boy has been seen and heard running and playing up and down the hallways. Although
Hmm.
only Renee and David have been identified, it's believed at least another 3 entities haunt the hotel alongside them. There's about
I just
5 entities that they're aware of. Only 2 have kind of made themselves known. Were you going to say something?
okay. Um, I was gonna say, you mentioned that she appears in mirrors and stuff, right?
Yes. Don't we love
So
that?
as you said that, I looked to my side. My mirror is not right next to me. It's like on the opposite side of the room, but if I turn to my right, I can see it. So
And
as you
you have
said that,
dark
I
hair.
looked in the mirror and I have dark hair. So I was, and like I looked at myself.
So you
So
literally saw Renee for a split second.
I saw Renee for a split second and I looked at her and I was like, no, thank you.
Oh my word. No,
All right, so
I'm not, I can see my mirrors, but they can't see me. I'm happy where I am in my little corner. Okay, so The previous owner of the hotel actually called a Sangoma in, and to our international listeners, because we have those now, yay! A Sangoma
Yeah.
is a traditional healer, or better known as a witch doctor. So the previous owner had a Sangoma brought in to assess the situation. They confirmed that they did sense spirits, but didn't feel any evil intention from them. So they decided to just leave the spirits be. So Cape Town Paranormal Investigators, also a really long name. South African paranormal investigators love long names. Anyway,
Apparently.
so CTPI did an investigation of the property, and they also did that spirit box, but they did the one that I think most people are familiar with, where it flips through the different radio frequencies and picks up voices. And they were able to actually get in contact with David, the little boy, and they did get some like coherent. They got coherent responses, and they got responses that fit the questions being asked, which is the first time I've actually seen that. I've seen a lot of those paranormal investigations where they use spirit boxes or those apps on phones where they spit out words. But this was
Hmm.
like one of the more logical conversations I've seen going back and forth with one of these. But shame. They asked, they said hello, and they got a response back like hello, like somebody was like responding to them, like surprise, like hello, hello. And
Oh, like
then,
I'm
yeah,
here kind of thing.
and when they
Oh.
asked, what's your name? It said David. And then,
Oh.
so the man introduced himself. He said, my name's Jay. Can you say my name? Say my name. My name's Jay. Jay. And he said, don't make me.
Oh.
Oh, no. So it said that David loves to play with the pool table balls. When no one's around, he likes to play with them and move them around. So they brought a magic 8 ball in, and they had one of those sensors that pick up the what do you call it? EFP. When it picks up
Um, EFM, I think it
EFM.
was.
Well, they had one of those, but it's the one where it has like 5 lights, and depending
Hmm.
if you wave your hand over it, then the lights will flicker, and if you just leave it on a table, then none of the lights go on. So the idea is that if a spirit were to pass over it, just like the energy it picks up from our hand crossing over it, it will pick up the spirit as well. So they were trying to ask some questions with this thing now, and he did confirm that he was there and that he was not alone, but he seemed disinterested and rather played with the ball. And while they're busy recording the lights, you can actually see the ball moving around a little bit.
Oh,
So, yeah, that was quite interesting. So,
I feel
other,
sad for David.
I know, but he seems to be, for the most part, a pretty happy spirit. Reports from guests and employees at the hotel include things like hearing David running up and down the hallways at 3 in the morning when no other rooms are booked. So it's like if
Hmm.
you're the only room there, if you're the people who's booked in the hotel that night, you will hear him running up and down the hallways, and some people have even heard him laughing.
Ooh, ew.
Well, you for us, but he seems happy at least. And he's said
I
to.
mean, it's great,
So
but like, man, I hate when
I know
kids
kid
ghosts
stuff.
laugh. That's
I know kid stuff. Well, the little boy is also said to love the kitchen, and chefs often see him running in front of the hot pass. He also enjoys playing pranks on people. He likes to move their things around and break glasses. And in an interview,
he's kind of like
yeah.
he sounds a bit like Alfie from what the one I did last week.
Oh yes, very much
What was
so.
it called? The Victoria Hotel.
Mm.
He also plays pranks and stuff. All right, continue.
In an interview with one of the employees, she recounted how her and a few other staff members went down to the kitchen to prepare breakfast one day. And when they entered the empty kitchen, a big kitchen knife was standing on its own, upright on the point on the counter.
Oh, hell no.
There, all on its own. Yeah. And
Ugh.
in the kitchen, a black figure has also been spotted. And the way they describe this is like you're busy frying an egg, you standing in front of the stove, and then it will literally walk between you and the stove
Oh.
past you. Yeah.
So is that like
A
a
sh-
shadow
it
person type of
sounds,
thing?
they said a shadowy figure, so it could be a shadow person because it sounds pretty solid.
Mm.
Like if it could actually walk between you and you can like, yeah. So it's not like a shadow up against the wall. It's like something that walks between you and the stove. So that's quite interesting. But the fact that there's so much haunting in the kitchen makes me wonder if it's not maybe a little bit of Robert left behind. Because remember, he was the chef.
Yes,
Mm.
maybe.
So other things that go on in the hotels, the usual, like lights flickering, and doors opening and closing, but also sometimes people feel like they're being pushed up or even down the stairs. The main
Oh,
staircase, yeah, where Renee and David
that's
died.
Robert.
Who knows? Could actually be. I for some reason assumed that it was Renee, but why would she be pushing people? So maybe Robert never left.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and here's a cute story. David. Okay, so the hotel's now split into two sections. There's a restaurant section and a hotel, and they operate as two separate businesses. So it's still the Glencairn Hotel like property, but there's two separate businesses in it. One side restaurant, one side hotel. So the restaurant side has got all this really cool old school furniture and stuff. So it's like very nostalgic. It's got like things like chappy bubble gums and um, really old records and photos and stuff up on the walls, and they've got a couple of like these old bicycles.
Yeah.
You know those like tricycles that little kids play on? So
Mm-hmm.
every night the tricycles leave the restaurant and are found the following morning either upstairs in the pub or even outside of the hotel entrance.
Oh, so David rides the tricycles.
David rides the tricycles from one side of the property to the other when no one's looking. And they just
That's
find
so
it's
cute.
just a thing. People go by, they go, "Oh, what's the bicycle doing there?" They just go, "Oh, it's not supposed to be there." He literally rides the tricycles around. And so it's not uncommon for them to wake up in the morning and find a tricycle somewhere randomly outside where it's not supposed to be.
That's actually so cute.
It is kind of sweet. So at least I'm kind of happy for this little ghost. He seems to be having a good afterlife.
Yeah.
And one of the other interesting investigations I saw was actually by vloggers called Lost With Us, and they stayed over at the hotel 6 months ago. So it's very, very recent, this, and they experienced some weird shit. So their electronic equipment malfunctioned a lot. Like their cell phones would unlock on their own, and apps would
Mm.
apps would also open up. And I was thinking, like, this is sort of like when a kid plays with your phone, isn't it? A
Yes.
white figure came like, literally ran up to one of the guests in room 4. They then afterwards
Ooh,
took a couple of photos of this room, and they did sort of catch two white blurs. I'll upload it to Instagram, and you guys must let me know what you think of that. They also caught a lot of dust. Oh, sorry, I mean orbs. And
shady.
shady lady. And the creepiest thing for me was they had their camera face detection on, but they had to switch it
Oh,
off because their camera, the face detection, kept on following something unseen.
Oh, no, no,
Yes.
you see, now I'm
Oh.
sitting in the dark and there's a dark room behind me and Mama is next to me and I've got candles and this is not a great time. Oh, you should have gone first.
I'm sorry. So
It's okay.
yeah, so and I can send you the link for this, but I'll
Please do.
put the link on the post for this for the image of the two
Wait,
white
wait,
blurs.
you cut off.
Sorry.
Can you start that sentence again?
I will post up on social media the photo of the white blurs they caught in a photograph with a link to the actual video. But they were busy interviewing one of the employees at the hotel, and it kept on, it would focus on her and then follow something else, and then they kept on
Oh no.
fighting. It was like so creepy. So
Oh, that you know what that reminds me of? I saw this one video and look, it's creepy if it happens to you, but I laughed so hard.
okay.
So this girl was using Snapchat filters and the camera was facing out and it had those that like the little bunny face with I
Yes,
think glasses or something
yes.
and it would like go off and switch back on closer and closer to her until the bunny face was right up in the camera and then she screamed and ran away. It was so
I
funny.
saw one where there was a girl in a hotel. Oh, I love
Hmm.
hotel things. So she's walking down the hotel hallway, doing like a little Snapchat message with the dog face. And then the same thing happened. Like she turned the phone around and there was a dog face in front of her. And then she panned it back to her face, and then she panned it back, and then it disappeared, and then it came back and it was closer. So she freaked out and ran into the elevator, and then she had the
And it
phone,
followed her.
and then she put the camera up towards the elevator door, and when the elevator door closed, the dog face popped up again. She screamed, but you know it has that voice modifier on. So instead of her being it was like a like Elvin and the Chipmunks. Oh,
I think I've seen that one. Oh wow.
excuse me. Yeah, that was man. Cell phone. The cell phone era is fantastic. The crap you can find on the internet. I love it. Back to Glencairn Hotel. One of the investigators that went with the Lost With Us vloggers, he was really adamant that the hotel wasn't haunted. And the ghosts seemed to have taken this up as a challenge. And then they started like opening and closing a door in front of him. And then later on, a window fell on him. But look,
Serves him right.
so he's a believer now. He's a believer now. They also did overnight recordings because they stayed the night. And by the way, it's a very cute hotel. We totally have to go. Um,
Oh, please, can we?
yeah, they're still operating. They have a lovely website. We should definitely check it out. So yes, so they did overnight recordings, which I think we should do if we go there. But we must only listen to it
Hmm.
after we leave because in their recordings
Oh,
they picked up footsteps, disembodied voices, and the worst thing, they caught like this growl, this weird growling,
oof.
guttural growl, guttural. I said
Okay.
that weird,
Yeah.
guttural growl. It was no, the growling was really weird. And then the main vlogger lady in her sleep, um, she was mumbling, "Get off me."
Oh, oh no, I got goosebumps. Oh, hell no.
Yeah. So I wanted to
And
send, yeah.
you know, I mean, I'm sure I don't do it anymore, but I used to have like that weird sleepwalking, talking,
Um,
looking for things
Sleeping with
business.
sharing a bedroom with you was the creepiest shit of my life.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help it. I didn't know what I was doing, except for that one time. I was actually like semi-awake. It was the time I was looking for my shirt. Like, I actually remember like feeling my body and thinking I didn't have a shirt on, so I had to go and find a
Oh
shirt.
yeah, I remember, and I had to explain to you that you're wearing your shirt. and you have to go back to sleep.
And I didn't believe you. I
You didn't
honestly
believe
remember not
I had
believing
to
you.
show you. I had to
No,
show you.
I still didn't believe you. I went to bed thinking you're crazy for letting me sleep without a shirt.
Okay, so the creepiest thing you ever did while sleeping was like a year after our cat Missy went missing, when one night I woke up because you're going "Psst, psst, 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 here, Misty, Misty," to the middle of the floor, looking.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
You were looking at something, and you were like, "Come, kitty, come, psst, psst, come here," and like, oh my flip. And then I had to put you to bed. You fall back to sleep, obviously. And I'm sitting there alone
Mhm.
in the dark, like, what the flip just happened? No, that was cool. But let me just end my story quickly
Sorry.
because I found this really cute snippet from Gateway Magazine, talking about the hotel now. This friendly family spot located between Fishhook and Simonstown is perfect for watching the southern right whales. Stay the night in an ensuite room with a view of the beach, and you may also encounter two ghostly residents. Or enjoy spirits of a different kind at the Stoop and Swing pub.
That is beautiful.
Isn't
I
it
love that.
cute? I thought it was adorable. I like that the hotel, like, literally they have a little paragraph written up on the haunting. So it's like they're not milking it. They're saying, "Hey, listen, we're we recognize that we're a little haunted. But we go with it." And it's not their main thing. It's like it's not like this weird, they haven't turned it into like a
Mm.
marketing thing. They don't like push for that. So that's quite interesting. But the town in which it's located, that Simon's Town, I actually would like us to do a full episode on, because there are so many hauntings there and stories. But this the information is so difficult to come by. I think we might need to do a couple stories in one episode, which could be kind of cool.
Okay, I'm down for that.
All right, let's do it. But I do think that that's it for today.
All right. Well, again, that was a really interesting story. Um, I mean, I like that you're actually able to find a little bit of a background, like, who the people were, who the ghosts are.
It took
Like for
it
me,
took a really
all I know
long
is that it's a nun and a woman and a child. So it's like I tried so hard to find just a name.
yeah.
And okay, eventually I got Alyssa, but like who the heck is Alyssa supposed to be anyway?
Oh, it took a lot of digging. I won't lie. Most of the sites and articles and even interviews that I looked into never even used names. Like, eventually I found two sources confirming Renee and David's name, but it took me forever to find out Robert's name. And then in another source, someone said his name was George. But yeah, it was two against one, so I went with Robert. But that the point is that this information is so hard to come by, and that takes me back to my point earlier where I'm like, South Africa just was not interested in that sort of stuff 100 years ago, and it's a shame because we're interested in it now. Here
Well,
we are 100 years later, trying so hard to share some fresh new stories with the rest of the world, and it took me like 3 hours just to find their names.
look, South African ghost stories have to start somewhere, and if it's going to start with us, then we're just going to have to go through the trouble.
But yeah, that brings us to the end of season 1, episode 3. Thank you guys so much for listening. And as I mentioned before, we are on Facebook and Instagram. We're using the handle Dead Curious. We're also on Patreon, also under the handle Dead Curious. And if you want to email us, you can contact us at deadcuriouspod, that's deadcuriouspod, all lowercase, one word, at gmail.com. we'd love to hear from you. And to our international listeners, welcome aboard. It's so great to see that we've got some international interest, and we'd love to hear what you guys think.
Yes, and like we mentioned earlier, if you have any stories of your own, please let us know. It would be nice to hear from some other people. It would be nice to hear your own personal stories.
First, we would like some first-hand encounters to share for one of the upcoming episodes.
Yes. So if you don't mind your encounter or your story to be shared on the podcast, then please let us know.
And with that,
goodbye.
Bye. Okay, bye. Oh my gosh, are these dogs?
I know.
Oh,
you hoe bag.
I'm not a hoe bag.
If you're
okay, I am a little.
Oh my word. Yes, you are. If you're covering that story tonight, then this podcast is officially over because you are not my sister.
Oh, that's so great. It kept on breaking up. I love that so much. I feel like I won the argument.
We're not a city of cavemen, Roxanne. We know how to build buildings.
No, I didn't. I told you.
Wow.
Hello.